Hey, welcome. We often think of entrepreneurship as this kind of lightning strike of genius, right? A once-in-a-lifetime idea that just hits you. But what if it's not that at all? What if it's actually a craft? Something you can learn and practice day in, day out. Today, that's exactly what we're digging into. That initial spark of an idea, and the scaffold, the structure, you need to build to make it real.
So, let's start with this. I think this really gets to the heart of it. It suggests that every great venture, every cool new thing, doesn't start with a perfect answer. No, it starts with a really curious question. It's about seeing a problem or just a gap in the world and having the guts to ask, what if?
To make this all feel a bit more real, let's meet Mira and Arav. Think of them as our guides today. Mira, she's the artist with a sketch of a little storefront. And Arav, he's the planner with a notebook just full of ideas. They represent that moment, that hopeful beginning. We're going to follow their journey as we explore this whole idea of craft.
All right, first things first, the spark of an idea. Let's really pin down what we mean when we talk about this practice of entrepreneurship.
Okay, here's the core definition. And the word I want you to focus on is practice. See, it's not a title you get or a company you own, it's a habit. It's this habit of creating value even when you don't have a lot of resources, and the future is, well, totally uncertain. It really is a mix of courage. The courage to act when you're not sure what's going to happen, and a deep curiosity about who you can help. And this doesn't have to be some huge, world-changing tech platform. Think about a baker. She sees people rushing to work every morning, stressed out, no time for breakfast. So she creates these simple, portable millet wraps. She's not just selling food there, right? She's actually answering a real felt need in her community. That's it. That's the practice.
But of course, not all ventures look the same. And that brings us to our second part, the 4 rhythms. Because the path you end up choosing really depends on what your goals are.
So this table kind of breaks down the different ways you can go. Maybe you're an artisan, you're all about mastering a specific craft and knowing your customers like family. Or maybe you're building a scalable startup, where the name of the game is learning and growing as fast as you possibly can. It could be a social venture, where the main goal is benefiting the community. Or, hey, maybe it's a lifestyle business, where what you really want is autonomy, not massive scale. Each one has its own rhythm, its own feel, and they all demand totally different skills.
So how do you make sense of all this? How do you figure out which path to take? And maybe why some ideas seem to take off while others don't? Well, that brings us to section 3, 3 lenses for seeing. And I want you to think of these less as like academic theories and more like different pairs of glasses you can put on to see your own journey a little more clearly.
The first lens is all about personality traits. Are you driven by grit? Do you have a high tolerance for risk? The second lens looks at opportunity structures. Are you good at reading markets, at building networks of people who can help you? And the third, which is really interesting, is the emergent process. This lens sees your venture as something that's constantly evolving through tons of small experiments. You can lean on any of these to help guide what you do next.
Okay, so we've talked about the what and the why. Now let's get to the how. Section 4, building your scaffold. This is all about the practical, step-by-step process of actually bringing that spark to life.
The journey actually has a pretty clear structure. It all starts with discovery, that initial feeling, that gut instinct that, hey, this might be worth trying. Then you move into shaping, which is where you start talking to people and building a really simple, quick prototype. Next up is securing resources, and that's not just money. It's your first customers, your partners, and then finally you get to focus on sustaining it all for the long haul.
So what skills do you actually need for all this? Well, the good news is these aren't some kind of magical talents you're born with. They are fundamental skills you can practice. Attentive listening helps you figure out what people really need. Simple prototyping lets you learn incredibly fast. Basic bookkeeping, it keeps you honest and grounded in reality. And storytelling? That's how you get other people excited. That's how you invite them to join you on your journey.
And you can build these skills with 3 really simple practices. First, rehearsal. Just run tiny little experiments to get feedback without a lot of risk. Second, reflection. After you talk to a customer or a partner, just take 2 minutes to jot down what you learned. And third, stretch. Once a month, just do one thing that kind of scares you. Maybe it's a pitch, maybe it's a tough phone call. This is how you build those muscles. This is how you grow.
And that brings us right back to where we started, to our final section, the vow to keep asking. This is where it all comes together, where that initial spark meets the daily work of the scaffold.
Let's go back to Mira. Remember her big insight? Entrepreneurship is not about having all the answers. It starts with, and it's kept alive by, a question that you really, truly care about.
And then our Rav, our planner, he gives us the other half of the puzzle. This right here. This is the scaffold. The spark is the question, sure, but competence, the actual craft of it, is the discipline of waking up every single morning and getting back to work on answering that question. It's about the routine, not just the revelation.
So when you boil it all down, the craft of entrepreneurship isn't about being some special kind of person. It's about committing to a special kind of practice. And that just leaves one final thought for you to take away. What question will you return to tomorrow morning?